Hey everybody, welcome back. Thank you for coming this week. This is a special episode for me because it really is kind of 5 years in the making. You have probably heard on this podcast me mention the name Mike Kim before. Mike is a friend. He's a mentor. He is one of our clients here at Emerald City Productions, and he really has helped me over the last 5 years do a lot to grow my business, to make it more effective at what we do. And this is a special episode because Mike has finally put all of the things that I've heard him talk about, and many people have heard him talk about over 6 or 7 years of his podcast and his blog and his business. He's finally put that all in a book. And the book is called You Are the Brand. And I want to do my best to kind of give you an idea of what is in this book on this episode, to review it, to give you some of the things that I like about it. You know, as Mike is really fond of saying, he loves this Gary Keller quote, "Success is sequential, not simultaneous." And that really has been the story of my business, the story of my personal brand over the last 5 years. It's a process. It's not an overnight leap into success. And what You Are the Brand does is it walks you through Mike's 8-step blueprint for showcasing your unique expertise in order to build a highly profitable and personally fulfilling business. And that is why I really, latched on to what Mike had to say, because I didn't want to create a huge business. I didn't want to create a business that exhausted me. I wanted something where I could be with my family, make enough money, but also change the world. You've heard me talk about that many times, about how that's why I love podcasts and that's how I got into it. So that's what his 8-step blueprint helps you do. So in this book, Mike teaches that in order to have a successful long-term brand, personal brand, you need to have a point of view, okay? You have to be able to define what pisses you off, what breaks your heart. So like, what makes you angry and what are you passionate about? And while big corporations, even bigger small businesses, can get away with that without taking a position, if you're in this as a podcaster, you're creating a personal brand, or you have a small business, it's different. You actually have to have a stance, okay? Now, you don't have to have stances on every political issue or cultural issue, but people do need to know why you're in business, and we've talked about that in, the episode 1 that you create for your podcast. People need to know who you are and why you're doing this. What are you trying to solve? What problems are you trying to help solve, okay? And that's what Mike talks about a lot in this book. So just to get it out there, just full disclosure, I've been friends with Mike now since 2016. He's been a mentor. He's also a client. So take whatever I say today with a grain of salt, but you'll hear that this is really truly how I believe and feel about Mike and his system and the things he teaches. I met Mike back in 2016 at Podcast Movement, which, if you're not familiar with it, it's a great podcast conference. Actually, that's the next time I'm going to see Mike. It's in early August in Nashville. We're getting together. I'm in Mike's mastermind, and we're all getting together before that conference. I met Mike in 2016. I believe I was introduced to Mike by Lauren Gaggioli, who is a fellow podcaster. And Mike was just this kind of unassuming guy who seemed really intelligent, but nice, not too out there, not too exuberant, but everybody seemed to like Mike and everybody seemed to want to talk to Mike. And like all of us do, all podcasters do, we exchanged our podcasts. We said, hey, you should check out mine. I'll check out yours. And it took me a few months to actually check out Mike's podcast. And when I did, I was blown away. I was like, oh, wow, these are some things I need to be doing. And so I started to try some of the things Mike was recommending in terms of branding and things like that. And they worked like almost immediately. So I thought, well, this is great. I need to get in touch with Mike. I need to find out a way to work with Mike more closely. And it took a little while because of some things that were going on in Mike's business at the time. But I finally got a spot in Mike's mastermind, the mastermind I've been in now since 2017, 4 years running, because it's helped me so much. It's introduced me to new clients. It's helped me grow my business. It's helped me figure out things. It's even gotten to a point where, like I said, Mike's a client. I now help Mike. I'm actually even in this book. One of the things, one of the scripts I've used, an email script with clients on how to change your price or how to raise your prices, Mike actually borrowed and uses and teaches in this book. So that being said, I have a good relationship with Mike, and I really want to tell you why you need to get this book, because it's just amazing. So let me walk you through a little bit of this book. Mike starts out talking about first the personal brand and figuring out what type of personal brand are you? Are you a how-to-preneur or an ideapreneur? And then he takes you through the brand you blueprint, which gets into those 3 questions that I've shared with you before. What pisses you off? What breaks your heart? What problem are you trying to solve? To really get down deep into who you are as a business and what you want to do and who you want to talk to. He then walks you through creating stories, the 3 stories you need to have, and then also talks through how to get into content marketing and what to focus on and how to establish a body of work that people recognize as your expertise and building trust. He then goes through positioning. And then he talks about products, how to validate, create, refine, and relaunch your products. And then pricing, how to start pricing, the different types of pricing you can use. And then finally, pitch. So how to pitch, how to do sales pitches, how to pitch other podcasters to get on their podcast, things like that. And then partners. Okay, how to partner with other thought leaders, other influencers that will help you go further along the way. Now, I want to share some of my thoughts on this book because it's amazing. It's kind of cathartic for me because I've lived this book for 5 years now. A lot of the things that Mike has said in here are the hurdles that I faced and the personal challenges that I faced, the mental challenges that I faced, the emotional challenges that I faced in creating and growing a business. A lot of what's in this book, it's now in this nice package. It's in a nice order. I went through these things with Mike at times when I needed them, exactly when I needed them. So it's nice to now see this all put together. So I want to give you some of my takeaways from the book. One of the things that Mike talks about is success is sequential, not simultaneous. Okay. So it's the idea of taking it one step at a time to create your personal brand business and your personal brand. Too many personal brand businesses, they sort of fail for the same reason. And Mike talks about this in the book. They try to be all things to all people at the same time. So Mike talks about how you can focus on that and focus down into how to really help one type of person or one type of business solve one type of problem. And then also how to focus on different platforms at different times. So Mike talks about his process in creating his own personal brand, where way back in 2013, he focused on blogging and he spent the whole year focusing on blogging. And then the next year he created his podcast and he spent the whole year focusing on his podcast while keeping his blog growing. And then that next year, 2015, was the year he started working on group coaching and really focusing on that. And then it wasn't until 2016 that he launched his first actual products that he could sell. And so it's that step-by-step process to create what you need in your personal brand business to provide for the people you're helping. The next thing he talks about that really sticks out to me is that to remember you are a personal brand, okay? Personal stories make you stand out in a crowd. And it's not just random, like boring stories, but it's the things that really connect with people. And that's the advantage you have over corporations. And Mike goes into that. You are not this huge corporation, nameless and faceless. You have a name and a face that people can connect to. And that's very powerful. So in the book, he walks you through actually creating 3 stories: the founder story, the business story, and the customer story. And these are stories that I've developed that you've heard me tell over and over on this podcast, because they are the ones that really get down deep into who I am as a personal brand and who Emerald City Productions is as a business. And the last key takeaway that really stuck out to me in this book was the section on products and how to develop a product so that it's something that people want, something that people need, and something that people will buy. And that's the idea of validating, because, too often businesses, and especially personal brands, believe, if I build it, they will come. Field of dreams, right? If I create the thing that I want to create, that I think I would need if I was in this space, it will sell. It'll sell like hotcakes. People will love it. And that's great. And that's all a good idea, to create the product. You'll hear it a lot, that you need to create the product that you don't see in the marketplace. But it's often wrong too, because it can lead to lots of hours and lots of dollars wasted on building something, an online course or a product or a membership site or whatever that is exactly like you want it, but then no one in your audience wants it. So Mike lays out this process of, first of all, validating the key problem. So create a beta group with the simplest form of the product you can create, whether that's like building it in Kajabi or whether that's just making some videos and using Slack as a way to communicate or something like that. And go through it with a beta group. This is something that I've done several times with my podcast Launch Intensive. And see how people do, see where they get stuck, ask them questions, get feedback. This is the idea of the focus group that a lot of big corporations use. And then you can refine whatever that product is, okay? Figure out what to change, what to add, what to take out, and then relaunch as a product that actually is something that people are willing to buy and will really help them. So this is the process of validate, create, refine, and relaunch. And that will help you avoid losing the money and a whole lot of hassle, energy, dollars, all the stuff that goes into the process of making a course. So I really recommend that you check out You Are the Brand. It is just this wonderful step-by-step guide to creating a personal brand business. If you're currently working a corporate job, you're working a day job, whatever you want to call it, and you're looking to get out and go on your own as a consultant, as a coach, or whatever, this book is your roadmap to that. And it has helped be my roadmap to that. I got an advanced paperback copy, which I read. I also listened to the audiobook. And the cool thing about the audiobook, which Mike narrated himself, and he's really great at that, there are a bunch of bonuses in the audiobook. After every chapter, he has an interview with an expert in that space where they discuss the chapter and they discuss some personal stories and personal experiences with what Mike has discussed in the chapter to give you ideas and see that system, that part of that system in the chapter in action, in work, and how it's actually affected people. So if you are interested in reading this book, the easiest way to get it is to go to youarethebrandbook.com, youarethebrandbook.com. I will make sure that's in the show notes as well. This was a labor of love for Mike that he has spent 4 years working on, 4 or 5 years, actually, I think is the amount of time he's been working on it. And that is not an affiliate link. I want Mike to get everything he can from this book. The stuff in this book has changed my life. It has changed my business, and I want to see you succeed as well. So please go get this book today, youarethebrandbook.com. And I want to hear what you think of it. So once you read it, please reach out to me and I would be happy to talk with you more about it. In fact, Mike is going to be coming on the podcast in a few weeks, and I'm going to interview him a little bit about the book and a little bit about our experiences with this system and how it has helped me. So thanks for joining me again this week, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Have you ever wondered how other podcasters grow their audience? Well, one of the best ways to do this is by being a guest on other podcasts, borrowing their audiences. So that's why I created the Publicity Power Pack. It's a product designed to help you learn how to network with other podcasters and get invited onto their shows. There's really no better way to grow your audience. The Publicity Power Pack provides you with everything you need to network with other podcasters, be a better guest, send pitches that people actually respond to, and begin your journey towards becoming an in-demand guest. So what are you waiting for? Let me help you grow your podcast starting today. Get the Publicity Power Pack only for $27. You can go to dannyosmond.com/PPP to get it today.